Manny Jacinto said goodbye to his character Jason Mendoza on the final season of The Good Place earlier this year. I'm Kevin Jacobsen of Gold Derby here with Manny. And first off, I wanted to go back to last year when I talked to you about season 3, and you were talking very vaguely about season 4. And that very night, I remember the news broke that it would be the final season of The Good Place. So. Yeah. So when you knew that it was going to be the end, what were just the emotions you were feeling?
A little bit of panic, especially as like an actor in the industry, you don't know when the next paycheck is going to come. But and I guess I'd also say maybe a bit of a sense of relief, because you just don't know how to carry on the story. And I know that, I just play in it. I just act in it. And I just couldn't see how far we could keep going with the narrative. And it's just a great feeling to be able to end on your own terms, or on a high note, when people actually still want more. I remember Mike saying, specifically, that when people are wanting more, that's when you definitely know you should go out. So that's always a good note to end on.
Yeah. And you actually got to slip back into playing John Yu for a little bit in this final season, wearing the outfit again. And, he can't really maintain it for very long in front of Chidi. But what was it like just having that little full circle moment with John Yu, and also just going back to that early first season place through this kind of reset?
It was great. The costume is the most comfortable costume I'll probably ever get to wear.
I bet.
But it just, all these things coming at us, like in terms of it being the last season, to being able to play John Yu, it really allowed me to be present and to ground myself, and to be like, oh my gosh, we ended up doing this amazing thing, and we get to see it to the end. And not a lot of shows get to do that. So if anything, it forced me to really be present and enjoy things, and just really cherish the final moments that I have before Ted Danson forgets me for the last time.
He could never forget you.
No, he's a gem, and but bigger and better things, I'm sure, for Mr. Ted Danson, and hopefully for all of us. But I don't know, it was a gem of a time, and I'll definitely miss those moments.
Yeah. Can you just talk about Jason being the first one to decide to leave The Good Place, and just being this character who's always just given into every temptation and just lived life to the fullest, to have him now make this decision to be like, okay, it's been fun, but I'm satisfied now and I'm ready to move on?
Yeah, I've thought about it a bit, and it was very peculiar to me that Jason would be the one who would decide. It was very curious to me why he would be the first one to decide to go first. And I think it's because, obviously there's not a lot going on in the brain or in his head. So he just kind of based things through feelings. I truly believe that, Jason is very intelligent emotionally, and he definitely is very much in touch with his feelings, and he kind of follows his impulses and instincts. And through that, I think, the trickery of the mind didn't really get in the way. It's like, I think with normal people, or like an average person would, constantly go back and forth of thinking, oh, I need to do this, or I think I need to still do this. But I think Jason really felt content in his heart that, he's done everything that he needed to do. And yeah, it's a very curious, weird way, and I'm actually glad that he was the one who kind of stepped up and decided for himself that he was happy to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very sweet and unexpected. Yeah, and the final moments for Jason, where he's made a necklace for Janet to make sure she doesn't forget him. Of course, he loses it, but then he finds it and just waits and waits and waits for her to return, just to give it to her before he exits through the door. How did you react when you saw that would be the ending to the story of Jason Mendoza?
I remember reading the final script, and I was touched by it, like, for sure. And I definitely took a moment at the end and really soaked it all in. But I think for me it wasn't until the table read it wasn't until the table read when I, like, my heartstrings were really getting pulled, and saying those words for the first time with Darcy, it really got to me. There were definitely some moments and sentences that I could barely get through in that table read, because that's when it really hit me. And I don't know, like the words that Jason gets to say, that Janet gets to say, the words that they get to say to each other, it's incredibly sweet. And it's, you know, that yeah, you have to give credit to Mike and the writers for that, to be able to come up with something that's very heartfelt, but also funny and charming. So I'm just really glad that we got to go out that way, and those two characters were able to say those words before they said goodbye.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking to that, you had such a lovely chemistry with Darcy Cardin as Janet, and the two of you have been through so much on the show through your characters. What was that relationship like for the two of you to form, and just between your characters, and also just for the two of you as people?
I mean, it's not hard to love Darcy Cardin. She is the most giving, loving person on and off set. Like, it was a dream to be able to work with her. Any choice that I made, any idea that I had, she was always down, and vice versa. Like, you don't always get that in a scene partner, and in a castmate. So yeah, just like, it really helped that we got along offset, and on set, and on all the sets. It just, yeah, it really helped inform and add a bit more heart to the relationship that Janet and Jason have.
So you talked a little bit about just the table read, but what was that very last day of filming like for you in the as a core cast? Because I imagine you've been together for 4 years and dealing with this material. What were the emotions on set?
It was heartbreaking. I mean, and it was beautiful at the same time. We were in the redwoods, further up north, on location. So we were surrounded by these beautiful redwood trees that have been around for thousands of years. And if you look into the story itself, like, these characters have been together in the good place for more than thousands of Baramies, if you'd say. And it was very fitting to be in that kind of energy and setting, and to say goodbye in that environment. It was very special. All I could really do that day was stay present and admire each and one of their performances that day. I want to say that I bawled my eyes out, but I didn't that day, fortunately. It was just a very sweet, content moment that we had all together as a cast on the final day on set.
Mm-hmm. And The Good Place, it was a very cerebral show with a lot of philosophy and ethics, but it was also very deeply emotional at times, and it does make you step back, I think, and take a look at your own life, And as someone who was inside it and dealing with these kinds of existential questions and that the decision Jason makes at the end of the series to move on, how much of an effect does that have on you and just your daily life?
I mean, everything from the show's themes and philosophies to the people that I get to work with, including Ted and Christian and Mike Schur. They're all advocates for their own charities and nonprofits. Especially even during this time, I see a lot of them reaching out, and you can't help but try and be a better person. It is. I've said it before, and it isn't necessarily the show that's caused me to kind of look at myself to be better. I think more so, it's definitely been the cast that, and like the veterans in the cast that have caused me to be a better person, to really step up for something that I believe in, and to fight for something, whether that be climate change or human rights, or just any refugees, like anything other than myself, I think is the first step. And you can't help but try and step up when you're surrounded by that kind of heart and talent.
Yeah. Well, going back to last year, The Good Place was nominated for Best Comedy Series at the Emmys for the first time. It's also nominated for writing, Ted Danson, Maya Rudolph. What was that experience like for you, just as a celebration for the cast and the crew, getting that kind of recognition from, people in the industry?
I mean, it was unreal. I mean, I think if anything, the best thing about it is that it's not only the cast that gets to go for the most part, but like in some of these award shows, the writers get to go, and I think sometimes the writers are very much overlooked, and they need to be celebrated because of the incredible ideas and jokes and storylines that they've come up with. And Mike isn't afraid to show crew of people that were able on both ends, like in front and behind the camera, that we were all able to celebrate celebrate this crazy, amazing thing that we got to do for 4 years.
And now having to leave the show behind, what are you gonna take away from playing Jason, as far as just your career in the future and just the whole Good Place experience? Is it too early to tell, or do you already feel like it's changing just how you approach other roles?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely observed like I said before, the veteran actors in our cast, and I think the biggest reason why that they keep working is because, I mean, not only are they talented at what they do, but they're very much genuinely good-hearted people. Like, people like to work with them because they are generous and genuine and empathetic. So qualities like that, I believe, are qualities that I'll carry forward to other projects, in hopes to create possibly the same kind of energy on set, same kind of chemistry with other actors, because I think that's incredibly important. I think just how to conduct myself as an actor, and especially as a human being, is the biggest takeaway that I'll be getting from the show.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other roles, I already talked to you last year about Top Gun a little bit. But this time around, I just saw that you're going to be in the TV adaptation of 9 Perfect Strangers with Nicole Kidman and Melissa McCarthy. I mean, that cast. Not sure how much you can talk about it, but how did that come about for you?
I can't say much. I mean, I was working on another project called Brand New Cherry Flavor when I put this on tape and forth to Vancouver, and yeah, I auditioned for Nine Perfect Strangers, and luckily enough, I was in LA to kind of go into the room. I actually went into the room before I had to go off on a flight to Vancouver to shoot, and it was just, an audition, and the director and casting director liked what I did, and luckily enough, they liked what I did enough to bring me on board. But it's pretty incredible. I mean, I was a huge fan of Big Little Lies, so a huge fan of Leanne Moriarty, and obviously a huge fan of David E. Kelly, and the cast involved, Nicole and Melissa. This is a dream job to be doing. So I can't wait.
Yeah. Very much looking forward to that one for sure. Just as we wrap up here, I was wondering if you just had one Jason Mendoza quote that will just always stick with you in your mind that kind of just sums up who Jason is as a person.
I wish I could say it verbatim, but I remember it was the quote that helped me actually propose to my fiance. It went along the lines of, I think the basic bottom line of it was, oh man, I wish I could. Can I look it up? I don't want to.
No problem.
Because, yeah, it's very important to me that I get this right.
I don't know if this is what you were thinking of, but is it the one that's about the bass drop in my heart?
That's a good one, but no, it's like a little monologue that he had. Here we go. So it's a little long, but it's worth it. So it goes, I learned that when something dope comes along, you gotta lock it down. If you're always frozen in fear and taking too long to think about what to do, you'll miss your opportunity and maybe get sucked into the propeller of a swamp boat. Those words will stick with me forever. I think that's my biggest takeaway of being Mr. Mendoza.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, amongst other things of making the bass drop in my heart and trying to figure out why you don't eat the clothes of oranges and stuff. So.
Sure. Yeah, a very sweet character. Loved watching him these 4 seasons. Well, for those of you watching, hit like and subscribe if you like this interview, and head to goldderby.com to make your Emmy predictions. Manny, it's been, like I said, it's been such a pleasure just watching you through this series, and I look forward to seeing what's next for you. Thanks for talking to us today.
Thank you so much, man. Take care.